Alright, so we're gonna start off with Margarash's reaction to everything that happened, because Margarash's player had to tap out midway up this path, which I have recreated so you guys can walk around. Now that maybe she has had a moment to absorb what has happened, take us through what's going through her mind, or maybe this would be a good time to voice her whatever thoughts she might have.
I look to the party and our new captor, and I stay between them before rubbing my jaw and asking. He's been implying a lot that he follows this elemental evil, but has he openly admitted yet that he is responsible for these quakes that have been happening, the mysterious changes in weather?
It's an interesting observation. I suppose we should likely destroy these standing stones, or the archways with the glyphs and engravings.
With that being said, Jorah seems to go mum. He seems to go quiet. He is looking past all of you and then at the bear, but once he said he resigns himself to be a prisoner, he seems to have accepted a passive role in the group, and is kind of, this person who's calling himself Jorah is waiting basically for you guys to decide his fate. And he's also looking at Thorn the Owl warily. Although he says he's a druid, he seems quite trepidatious, quite nervous around animals.
That bear is actually holding him hostage.
Wolfrun's the one holding the crossbow right now, so as far as...
We'll take him prisoner for now.
Wolfrun, you're familiar with the ways of Sylvanas. Do you believe that we should do something about these standing stones before leaving?
Leave them for now. We need more information before we can move forward with any prejudice.
I will say that despite none of us trusting this Jorah, I don't think he has a reason to lie.
He has plenty of reason to lie.
Yes, but some things he said are very in line with what we heard from our little informant in town.
So he knows something, so he's worth something alive for the time being.
If you remember, in his little rant, he said that plenty of people in town are following this elemental evil. Meanwhile, Eberlin says that quite a few citizens have been getting orders for black cloaks, blue bills especially, and I think maybe dwarves.
I say we get him back to Basil and the Count so they can deal with him, and then maybe we can bring the matter of these stones up to Coulter's masters at the, Wizarding Academy or Tower?
Academy of Natural Philosophy. I look around and examine these pillars that they're concerned about. When I get a chance, I would like to examine them closely and try to assess their purpose, what writings are upon them, etc.
Coulter, you've been in Avondrad, as far as you know, for your entire life. Ever since you were a baby, although born in Gorusad, you were brought to Avondrad to be raised as a wizard. And most of the people in town that aren't in the academy are actually true blue Sylvanas worshippers. So you know quite a bit about these sort of unconventional, profane old ways. Like these pillars, 1, look old, and 2, look genuine. There's an image of like something akin to treebeard or an ent, and there's leaves and animals to be found in the deep forest. These obelisks around them are new, but they're also decorated in a similar style, made in with respect towards the tradition of Sylvanas. Unlike the archways, which are indeed made from natural branches, it's unclear how old they are. The archways were made with like blasphemous symbols.
Ah, yes, this seemed to have once been a grove designated to Sylvanas properly, but there are clear signs that it has been tampered with, even desecrated by these additions here, and I point all that out to the party.
Be that as it may, it would serve our interest to leave them.
We need to make a decision of, are we trekking back to town at night, or are we going to try and wait it out till the morning?
I think we should get out of here.
It might be wise to camp until daylight. If we can maintain a position, at least we have the security of a perimeter.
As you say this, a soft murmuring can be heard from the west. The entire party hears, and this makes Jorah go rigid, and you can tell he's putting on a kind of poker face.
The cultists are coming. In other words, the townsfolk.
Secure the prisoner.
I send Thorn aloft immediately to see what he can see with the night vision here.
Immediately, he telepathically communicates to you that there's some brief activity, but it's just humans. Nothing to be worried about. There's more humans on the way.
Yeah, nothing to worry about.
Part of the agreement was that he was going to put on my tabard to go ahead and basically signify to anyone who sees him that he's surrendered. How do you want to handle this, Zaid? Because I look at Zaid still holding the tabard, looking at him and looking at Jorah.
Let's put it on.
He lets slip a smug smile.
I rub my beard and look over towards the bear. As I've been observing the behavior and understanding that this is not a real druid of the grove or anything, I'm just sitting here concerned about Coulter's wondering if the bear is like connected to the previous real Jorah, sitting there pondering and rubbing my beard and wondering why my divinatory sixth sense is just, I can't help but feel the hairs rising on my neck, but I don't know why.
I will slip the tabard over his head, and once I do, I will beat a hasty retreat away from him.
I have one question for our prisoner. If he continues to resist, I will help you. Jorah,
Yes?
do you know a woman named Morgan?
I'm not aware of one.
Do you know anything about defectors to your cause?
What do you mean?
People that had one faith and abandoned it for whatever you call this.
Instead of answering, he looks towards the people who have entered the glade. There's a few citizens, and they seem to be guided by 3 robed figures.
Zaid is going to promptly approach the gathering folk as if, like, things are handled. Like, I have an announcement to make.
The cultists look at definitely not cultists. The fucking cultists look at each other.
Commoners.
Look at these guys. Come on. The cultists look at each other hastily, but the commoners, who none of you recognize yet, seem like, oh, there's an announcement, and you hear like, I haven't seen this guy before.
Okay, Zaid is going to make an announcement. Good citizens, it appears there has been a terrible deceit laid upon you. Jorah Greencloud has been, well...
They're going to kill me!
This is an imposter who has killed the real Jorah. The corpse is over yonder. And this imposter has been trying to lead you all down the ways of a corruption that we are attempting to undo.
As soon as your prisoner, Jorah, ostensibly, shouts out that he's in danger, the lead individual raises his heavy sleeve, and a crooked, pale, bony hand with pointed fingernails makes a clawing gesture at Zaid. And for a split second, for a moment, you feel the inability to move. By a force of will, you overcome it. These people, whoever they are, have magical abilities. Kill them, he says. Zaid, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm going to raise my banner and pound it into the ground, and with a booming, divinely infused voice, call out for them all to return to their homes at Rune's command, and that one in particular being the primary focus of the call.
He seems unimpressed. The one you gestured at kind of twists his face as if you insulted his mother. Rune?
So I'm going to do champion challenge. So basically pointing the banner at the lot of them, specifically on the middle one, I guess this time, and calling out, well, if you will not return home, then let me be your rival. Do not take your violence out on the others.
The one you initially called at, they all seem angered, first off, and your words seem to focus their attention entirely on you, especially the first one. But the other two, they have a bit more situational awareness. Especially the other two, they seem like this isn't their first rodeo. They've got their eyes on weapons and a number of people around and even looking at the bear.
All right, can I call out as a free action, beseeching the ones in the back to stay out of this violence, return to whence you came. You don't need to involve yourself with these machinations. This is not the way that I believe that you wish to follow. This imposter behind me has killed the old Jorah. We have his corpse. We can show you the evidence. Were you only to listen?
They pause for a moment and look at each other, and something about the way you put your tone, how pleading you seemed for that moment, made them stop walking forward. But someone does walk forward, and it's a cultist with a knife. But instead of proceeding, he throws his knife at you. Right past you. And he freezes, like with his arm extended. And the other one looks at him like, how many of those did you have? And his silence says it all. And then he slowly reaches back for something else in his robe. The other one sighs and steps forward, taking out a short sword and rushing towards Zaid. Alright, once he is in your midst, he looks back over his shoulder. We must free the druid! He violently takes a swing at you. You might notice the ease in which they broke into combat. This is definitely not the first time they've had to do this.
Zaid twists in his shield over his breast and presses the inner glowing light of rune emblazoned on his shield into the incoming blade, deflecting it.
Then I will draw my bow, and then I am going to dash just to go ahead and get some space away from Wolf Run. Then I'm going to aim at the one to Zaid's far right.
You see the dagger fly, and then you see the other guy run up, and the third guy is starting to take a step forward, and then is immediately hit in the pec with an arrow. You hear the thunk and the gasps and screams of the people behind. By Sylvanas, the Greenwood. They're murdering them!
Oh, fucking damn it. We're murdering them. I shout out as I hear them. If we were murderers, would I have moved to make sure I wasn't aiming at you?
Okay, so I'm securing the false Jorah.
Though he's allowing you to secure him, it's clear he thinks all of you are gonna lose.
I give him a pat on the head.
He chuckles like an anime villain. Like, you fools, you should have sided with me. I could have given you quite a bit.
You'll be lucky to make it out of today alive. I pull out my crossbow and I aim it at the second on the left. And before I fire, I say, Sylvanas, bless this arrow as it takes out these blasphemers.
There's a change in the wind. So this guy right here, so one of them is stopped by the first arrow. The other takes some sort of, there was something about the way, the whisperings, the prayer almost that Wolfrun invoked. It sent his bolt true. Even the wind changed, the leaves rustled. For a moment, the animals stopped making their weird animal noises. Even the insects stopped buzzing until it hit. And then with that hit, everything returned to normal. But after, he fell to his knees, to the gasp of the villagers, and then he fell down, adding his blood to wet the grass beneath him. He sighs. And then one of them says, Vask! And you can tell that their beautiful robes have been shredded by the shrapnel that sprung forth from this shot. So at the ensuing chaos, Coulter, you notice that Egilbert the miller looks shocked at the man falling before him, and then looks back to his fellows and says, I didn't come here for this! And then he flees into the forest. Margarash, it is your turn.
I stare at Jorah with my hand gripping the haft of my axe. I peer over towards Zaid, standing in front of the cultists and the villagers standing further away. My grip tightens, but I relent, and as per instruction from my contractor, I just stay put and keep making eye contact with Jorah.
Very well.
As I see the hail of thorns hitting these cultists, and I look in relief as a person that I knew is retreating, and I was like, maybe he didn't see me. I have one more thorn sent their way, and Thorn the Owl swoop in, sort of do a flyby distraction to whoever's attacking Zaid. And he swoops by him, and sort of swirls around and does like a distraction. So sort of imposing disadvantage if he's going to get attacked, something like that. As he does his thorn distraction, I shoot magic missiles at the attacker. Oh,
Nice.
hoping to intimidate some of the lower folk with my display.
Alright, so the bear starts to walk a bit closer, curiously, taking this damage from both the crossbow bolts and the magic missiles. The lead cultist seems to be a bit perturbed, concerned. He's making like, who are you? To Zaid.
I am the Shield of Rune, the light, the blazing star. I will fight to protect the innocent and bring law and order and justice to this land.
You are lucky.
Rune's favor shines on Zaid today.
So he hisses something in an old tongue you do not recognize, and something sprays from his fingertips, a black and green, lands on your shield, and he curses angrily. He takes out his ritual dagger and attacks Zaid again. He managed to finally succeed in his strategy, and he scored a cutting blow between the gaps in your armor.
Alright, Zaid's just going to do a more traditional rapier attack to try and meet blade with blade.
He manages to parry, and then grins at you. Nolamate, it's your turn.
So if I were to like critically fail, would I be in danger of hitting Zaid if I were to try and shoot the one he's engaged with? All right, then I'm going to shoot at the other one then, just like last time. All right, so I let the arrow fly.
You pin his arm to his side, and he is forced to drop the dagger that is in his hand. He lets out a scream of anguish and curses you. Damn heretics!
Then I would shout out to the villagers saying, now you have two people firing in your direction. Please at least take cover.
You can tell, everyone here can tell that the villagers are panicked by what's going on. This unexpected turn of events wasn't on their agenda. Wolfrun, you're up.
Okay, the guy facing Zaid right now, I point at him and say, you have been chosen.
He's like, oh shit!
And then I fire my crossbow.
He's beginning to lower to the ground. He's still alive, but he will likely bleed out soon. The crossbow bolt struck home again. The remaining cultist, also wounded, turns to the villagers and says, "Get out of here!" And then lifts like some sort of clay, like ocarina or something, and blares a whistle, which makes the bear perk up. So you hear the rustling of bushes as he disappears down the hill. And you can hear a distant, like, out of my way! And you hear a grunt that, Calter, you might recognize, sounds familiar again. Apparently, Eaglebert got out of the way, but he's still around.
Let's see if Thorn can keep an eye on him with his advantage.
Thorn sees him.
What does he see him doing? Just hiding, like he's trying to sneak up on us?
So Thorn sees Eaglebird, he's like down the hill, and this guy who's running away is like, "What are you still doing here? Get out of the way!" And Eaglebird's like, what's going on? Or you heard like some confrontation like between them.
Well, Thorn will continue to try to disadvantage these attackers here by distracting them with flashing talons and flapping his wings in their faces. He's like, "I'm busy, Calter," you know.
The flapping seems to further make the lead cultist lower all the way to like where he's propped up on the floor with his elbow, and he's like faintly patting away at the owl, like making defeated noises like get away.
Calter just shouts, "Defilers of the grove, put down your arms!" What are they doing at this point? What's surveying the field here? They have him on the run. Does it look like it's over? I scanned the whole area here.
That's when you notice reinforcements from the other side.
They have friends coming, and I point them out. I cast a light cantrip on their location.
Do you wish to do anything else?
So I just secure my position by getting behind the cover of this nearby obstacle.
These extra cultists seem to be responding directly to the whistle. The lead one that you see first appearing from the shadows is holding like a meter-long group of metal objects. It appears to be some sort of metal javelin, and then the object is sailing in the air towards you.
I just put my hands in this particular formation, swinging them around as a nimbus of magical energy forms a shield in front of me. I think 5 to my AC.
Zaid, so you hear, "I don't care what's happening or why. This isn't what we talked about. It never should have come to combat. We wanted freedom. Not this. He will walk down the path because he likes paths.
I too am a fan of paths.
I've been eyeing that bear up and down for a minute. Can I assess that it is hostile? Is it encroaching on us? Is it doing anything?
Its snout is lifted towards the air, and it's standing on its hind legs. It seems like it's just sniffing you.
I weigh my options, but I look back and forth between the bear and the cultists that have been revealed in the brush. And I look back at Jorah, and with an open hand I reach forward and place my hand against his neck. Softly, I'm not squeezing, but I place my thumb just against his Adam's apple with a light press, and I hold it there while making eye contact. Do you think, in all of your faith, if somehow these men start to get through my companions here, do you think they can pry you away from me fast enough?
I'm dead in town, and he raises his voice so others can hear. Or I'm dead here. Just like you said, I will die for my beliefs. He's still sticking to his story.
I just grin around my tusks and hold the position.
One of the other villagers steps forward. As the others bend down, Coulter, you can recognize Albert Toric, the farmer. Take a knee next to one of them. He's not gonna make it. And he's sort of rifling through his contents, or perhaps he's trying to find a way to heal him, or he doesn't seem like a medic, but he looks like he's trying.
Do you know this man? Who is he to you?
Albert removes the skull-like mask from the man's face and pulls back the hood. I've seen him in town, actually. He's one of those doormen for the Blue Bills. I don't believe it. Although, now I recognize his voice. It's a man named Vask Gatson. Blood should have never been spilled here.
Sorry, no. Does Zaid know who the Bluebills are?
You've heard that the Blue Bills run the general goods store.
Zaid will say, I'll see if I can help him.
Are there more coming? We're not in trouble, are we? I didn't mean to harm nobody.
You were deceived by an imposter. Those of you who do not attack us will not be facing any consequences.
They narrowly shake their heads. So, moving over to the eastern side of the forest, there is distinct murmuring coming from that side as one of the other cultists takes up position, coming through the sword ferns. Unfortunately, he is also eyeing Coulter.
I'll crouch behind this cover, having narrowly avoided getting hit by some strange javelin item, which I'm currently eyeballing.
So he produces a familiar-looking dagger as well. They all seem to have the same sort of ribbed-style dagger that almost looks like a sharpened bone, but it's made of metal, and he sends it sailing through the air towards Coulter. So you see, actually I'll put him right here, out of the corner of your eye, a familiar red cloak and headscarf. Geth, one of the Tedweni Rangers, nods at Wolfrun and takes aim towards the eastern side of the forest, letting loose an arrow. It would seem that Lodwig's word was good.
I smile and realize that the bear was never a threat.
I was gonna wrestle the shit out of that bear.
I bet you were, buddy. You can always ask him later if it's cool.
Really fucking was. I was like, if it made any sort of hostile move, I was gonna drop my weapons, walk up and grapple it.
I was sure that whistle was gonna be for the bear to charge. The bear's just like, what the fuck's going on down there?
So he throws a dagger at you. You hear it. And then a smack to the off-center of your back. You have just been stabbed deeply. So he changes his aim and throws another dagger towards Coulter.
So 12 plus the shield would be 17 if the shield's still...
Oh yeah, then it
Last
bounces
one.
off of the rock.
That spell's saving my butt.
Ping! Bzz, as it hits the shield and then the rock.
Just added that one to the repertoire.
So that means it is Bear's turn. I have it in my notes that it's a black bear, but did I say it was a grizzly bear last time?
It's a
Light
Care
bouncing
Bear.
off. It's
Oh, it's a Care Bear.
yeah. Oh, actually, that's such a teddy bear.
Yeah, it's like called Huggles or something.
Okay, that's his name now.
It could
Huggles,
still be
yay.
Huggles the grizzly bear. God of bears.
Huggles the furry fuck tank.
Soon he is in the inner circle of flowers that grow naturally around these rocks. Wolfrun, you can tell by your training with animals that he is in hunting mode. He's probably about to try to attack someone.
Everybody back away from the bear, slowly.
Zaid probably still assumes that the bear is somehow involved in this and is going to look back and say, Jorah, call them and the bear off.
Jorah goes, how?
What do you mean, how? Tell them to go home.
I can get him to leave us be at least.
Can you not?
You're not wrestling the bear right now. You can wrestle the bear later.
I genuinely.
I know you want
the
to
bear.
wrestle a bear, but now is not the time. We have bigger problems.
Margarash just sort of rolls her eyes like a petulant child before staring back at Jorah.
Let's see. Ah, yes, it is, the cultist's turn. He takes another step forward, this guy to the east here, and readies another javelin at poor Coulter. It flies true. Does it hit? So there's more murmuring from the cultist on the eastern side, possibly discussing her shield. Zaid, it's your turn.
Okay, is the individual next to the farmer dead, the Bluebell, Vask?
He is dead.
I say, I think he's passed on by now.
He's going to make it, I think.
I have to go protect the others. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to rush over then. Let's see. I will hold up my shield heroically and call out for them to return to their homes or meet the same fate that the other attackers did. That we do not have quarrel with them, but just wish to bring the murderer of Jorah to justice.
This is our home, you fool, says one of them. Surrender now.
I asked them if they follow the false Jorah.
What?
He killed the real Jorah. This isn't Jorah Greencloud. This is an infiltrator from
We
the
know.
cult of Elemental.
God,
Okay, well, that's what I was asking.
kill him.
Morgosh, these ones are free game if that bear doesn't have something to say about what you're up to.
I give the bear weird bedroom eyes.
I just spit my goddamn beer all over my desk. Fucking goddamn it. So Nolame would go ahead and step out to his right, turn and take aim at the middle cultist with the short bow. Alright, then from here, I would go ahead and draw my short bow and let an arrow fly.
Direct hit. Well done. He cringes and lets out a gasp and a grunt, wavering. One of your arrows sticking out from his body.
He doesn't even wait to see if the arrow hits. As soon as he lets it fly, he moves back into cover.
While I'm standing here with a dagger buried deeply in my back, I turn my attention to the large bear and break off a tiny morsel of dried salmon in my ration pack and start making gentle cooing noises towards the bear.
So it lowers onto all fours once again and approaches you, or attempts to at least.
I hold out the food to it.
It seems pacified and eats the food, completely oblivious, it would seem, to the rest of the chaos erupting around you.
I give it a little scritch behind the ear.
Uggles the bear makes a bear noise.
My grip tightens on Jorah's throat in agitation.
Thorn the owl can hear more rustling in the distance,
What direction?
from where he heard the other rustling. People continuing to leave.
Well, Coulter is under heavy fire and not used to this kind of situation. Coulter, as his shield is fading, clutches the one minor wound that he received, and doing my best show of wincing in agony. There's just suddenly a bear here and I'm under fire by missile fire. I wince in pain and fall prone, doing my best to play dead, as Thorn is aware of another, so he just goes aloft and tries to see what's making this noise, to see if there's another enemy.
And he also tells you that there's
Wounded.
another human on the cliff where the bear was,
Ah.
holding a stick with some string on it.
I immediately tell the nearest party members, Thorn has spotted the shaman on the cliff, whatever direction, north. Yeah, Thorn will just fly in his direction, flapping his wings sort of threateningly.
You guys can hear Geth going, "What the hell?" In the same grasping motion, with his free-handed javelin thrower mutters some sort of dark incantation that makes the feathers on your neck stand, ruffle. and you suddenly go rigid, as if muscles around your muscles are squeezing you, holding you in place.
I release Jor's throat, but I lean in and I whisper, "No sudden movements now. You might be able to outrun me. I don't know much about our new friend." And I nod towards the bear while walking around and past him, trying to bring up Zaid's rear, drawing my weapons. Are these still fair game?
Zai's like,
I'll take that as absolutely.
uh-huh.
After reaching behind Zaid, I break off into a mad dash over the brush and towards this fellow, and I glare at him through his mask and begin to pound on my chest to throw myself into a rage.
It is this guy's turn. He steps forward and attempts to stab. So his short sword enters you. So it is Geth's turn. Looking back, he sees that he doesn't really have a clear shot, and practicing safety, he does not want to risk it, so he decides to leave, or to change his position on the battlefield. So anyone looking back will not see that archer there. This guy also decides to attack Zaid with a knife.
Blood trickles down onto his already red tabard.
So he is going to attempt to back up.
As he's attempting to flee, I flip my axe into a reverse grip and swing forward to hook the hammer end, that sort of point, into his shoulder blade and rake him back towards me, just letting it carve until it breaks loose again.
That would mean it is Zaid's turn. You are now not paralyzed.
I'm going to beseech Rune for aid and cast Cure Wounds upon myself, as well as Shield of Faith as a bonus action.
Nolame, it's your turn.
Nolame puts away his bow, draws out his rapier, and charges around the side of this tree to engage one of the cultists attacking Zaid. And then I will attack with my rapier.
Though he tries to raise his weapon up against you, he's too late, and your rapier stabs into his cloth and skewers him.
So making sure that he doesn't step in too far so that he can properly disengage and be out of his opponent's reach for an easy counterattack, Nolame steps in and then thrusts his rapier at center mass, but as the cultist moves, it hits him more towards one shoulder rather than where he was aiming. Then that will be all.
That means it's Wolfran's turn.
I draw back my crossbow, aiming at his chest, and hit the exact same shoulder that Nolame just pierced with his rapier.
He's a stiff wind from being blown over.
I yell at Coulter, "Coulter, call off your owl. He's on our side."
I do so immediately, telepathically, as I wince. Got that one wrong.
You intuit from your telepathic connection to Thorn the Owl that Geth, this red-caped archer, doesn't appear to be running away anymore. So turning, he would chant. I'm going to pull up your character sheet to see if anyone recognizes this language. Okay, so you understand what he's saying. He's speaking Narsi. He's like calling upon the dark powers of the realm beyond the fugue to curse you basically with pain and torment. He casts this like palm at you, and there's like a tattooed triangle on it. As he completes the spell, the triangle fills with the blackness and attempts to touch you. He fails. It's Calder's turn.
Laying here, feeling somewhat ashamed in the dirt, but just I was under missile fire, but now, and I was playing dead because this bear was nearby. I was like, oh my god, a bear. So I've called off Thorn as we have an ally field. Thorn's going to shoot that way as I'm getting up. He's just going to go ahead and fly in the face of whoever is attacking. There's like 3 guys on Zaid. Send a flurry of 3 more magic missiles, spread them randomly. So he takes that one, and then these 2. Really, these murderers mean business.
Well done. Your magic blasts into them. It smells like bacon. Zaid, things are looking a little bit more even now. So, yeah, he's going to try to leave. Okay, so Margarash, you can hear him saying something to the effect of, eternal power or something is only worth it if I'm alive to see it. So he attempts to leave.
So a flash of righteous vengeance glimmers in my eye as I wring out the last few aches of paralysis from my arm and then twirl my rapier with my wrist and then let it flow forward directly into the nape of his neck.
You hear a choked gasp, and his entire body goes rigid, and then slowly falls forward, with the sound of like a filling cup as he falls into the bush, face forward with a slump. The tide of battle has turned.
I'm going to attack the guy in front of me with my rapier. And fuck. Nolame's thrust was a little lazy, and he can't tell whether his opponent was dodging or just having trouble standing, but he manages to fall just correctly and out of the way of the blade.
Zaid can ask for Noleme to cut off his retreat.
I would say we made the false Jorah this offer. You could have the same one. Throw your weapons down, get on your knees, and maybe you don't die in the next minute.
He is looking down at his weapon contemplatively. Wolfram, you hear the sound of wood being stepped on behind you, and you can see that the battle is evolving in your favor as one appears to be contemplating suicide, and the other is committing suicide by attacking an angry Margarash. And Jorah is 5 feet further away from you now.
Where exactly did you think you were going?
Nowhere, actually. I was just looking around.
Is he still bound?
Yes, he is bound. You could control his movements easily.
Very good. I'm going to grab him by his tethers and force him back down onto the ground.
Okay, you force him to go into the prone position.
And then I'm going to put my foot upon his back.
The bear nods at you.
I nod at the bear.
Well, at this point, we just have one madman left. I'm going to relax my owl, say, come on, buddy. He's going to perch over here. I just shout to the cultists, you serve a false gods! Throw your weapons down! We've had enough of this bloodshed.
I'm going to see what happens, basically. Holy fuck.
Yes!
The one nearest Zaid and Nolame drops his weapons.
I just beam proudly at as I am not well trained, and I just send Thorn to perch on my shoulder.
I stare back into the wide eyes through the mask of the man staring in front of me. I say to the man in front of me, loud enough for the others to hear me from behind, in Narsi, I was actually going to offer you to surrender, to assist us in pleading our case to the people in town of exposing this false Jorah, but it seems your companion behind me has already volunteered. And then I disrupt this by speaking in Orcish, Ukarav Preo, and then I swing on him. Damn. What I said in Orcish was actually start praying, so I guess he prayed really hard.
Hey! Alright, it's Torik's turn, so this farmer has realized that they have died and he's suitably looted them. There's a distant conversation between Torik, someone else from town, and only Torik remains after the other one leaves. Mr. Torik seems to help the ones in the circle keep an eye on Jorah. It is Geth's turn. So Geth can't really hear anything that's not a shout, so he's trying to get closer. So it means it's the only hostile turn left. He actually did pray. He muttered, "Forces of evil, powers beyond the Veil of the Fugue, protect me," in Narsi. And he lashes out with his blade. So for the first time, he draws fresh blood, cutting open your exposed belly. That means it's Huggles the bear's turn, and Huggles lays on Jorah. And Jorah's like, "Get him off me!" So it is Zaid's turn.
All right, so this one is, I guess I will start binding this guy up.
He is your prisoner now.
I take off his mask, and pull down his hood, and kick away his knives.
He is demasked. He looks down in shame. He's a man of about 40 years old with salt and pepper hair, deep wrinkles, healthy features, and a strong jaw. Black hair, green eyes, pale skin, with stubble around his chin. He has an earring on and a tattoo on his neck of various familiar symbols you've seen on those arches.
I guess I will move him closer to Jorah.
As Zaid drags him away, I shout after them, be sure to introduce him to Huggles.
So you've named him Huggles in character now, okay. Nolame was the first.
I like to believe that we all just instinctively knew the bear's name was Huggles.
But I remember how the spiders tried to flee whenever Margarosh was getting the upper hand, so I think I will draw my bow and then just move myself into a position to where if he tries to run, I'm going to have a shot. So we will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be all I do. I'm not going to try and communicate with Margarosh because I have a feeling she's in the fucking zone right now.
Wolfrun, it's your turn.
I look behind me and say, Bird Paladin, do you know any healing magics?
That I do.
I have something in my back.
I will get right to that post-haste.
I cough up a little bit of blood.
My eyes go towards the commoner over there that's watching us, maintaining my authoritative pose from before. I just point my finger and, who are you and what are you doing here?
When he steps closer, you recognize him as Albert Torek. He's the owner of the Torek Farms, who Wolfrun heard of. He's a very successful businessman. Apparently, he's also a devout worshiper of Sylvanas. I've come here to pay my respects to Sylvanas. It's all right, but I didn't know it would lead to this.
I relax my composure, saying, well, it looks like they desecrated your grove.
Yes, it's tainted with the shedding of blood. This should be a land, a pure place for life and growth and rebirth. He shakes his head narrowly at himself, his deep-set frown signifying a permanent change to this man, as he stares at the pile of wood and the man he thought was Jorah Greencloud.
Trouble your brow not. This place was made sacrilege long before this bloodshed. It's tainted and corrupted and defiled long before our arrival.
He looks ashamed and takes off his hood and runs his hand over his bald pate. I can speak for the others. After the Red One has dealt with that man, I can give some answers, but please, me and the others, we're not part of this, not really. I know it's illegal in Avendrad, but this ain't Avendrad. Technically, it's County Avon still, and it's all in Runia, so... Yeah, let's just cut to Margarosh. Go ahead, Margarosh.
If I can hit him! As I carve into him with my axe, and he feels the weight of his legs falling out from beneath him, I hoist him up with my free hand and pin him against the tree, staring into his eyes, and I mutter lowly, just loud enough so he can hear me. My kind are feared by warriors and cursed by widows. You would not stand a ghost of a chance. But if it were not for my companions here, you would be joining your friend on the forest floor, forgotten, left for worms. And I use just brute strength to grip him by the robes and sort of toss him in the direction of my associates over there by Jorah. And if he tries to run further, then I'll kill him.